Alright, so today I am resetting the bevel on this Kamisori that I've had for a long time. It's a little beat up, but I wanted to chase the edge towards the tip, or towards the toe that it wasn't hitting it very well with the regular honing. So I went back on a 1K and then a 3K, and I mean this, I don't know what you call that, the Ura on the front side, it's starting to close in some just because it's an old razor and it's been my test razor for a long time. But I am going to use this old Botan. This is a really amongst some of my really fast Mikawa. And I find these older ones to be a little bit more aggressive than the newer ones. Of course, that's the case for the Tenjyous. I have a couple Tenjyous that are really old. I don't have many Botans, so I don't really know exactly for sure. I've got some Botan bench stones. This is a pretty good sized chunk of Mikawa Nagura too. But this one is from before Asano stamps. This is pre-60s, pretty old. Comes in a really old paper box too, or it came to me that old in an old paper box, I should say. So I was switching to a 7-to-1 ratio just because I didn't really want to work that front side so much. That was 9. I usually do 9-to-1, but yeah. This is a little bit harder to hone than the regular 50/50 straight, that old gold dollar, cheap gold dollar I was using. Especially as there's more steel contact. So these sections are widening while this is narrowing. And it's just more steel contact. Makes it want to grab a little bit more than versus a fresh Kamisori. And the bench stone is a Nakayama Namito, and it is a melting chocolate bar underneath the razor. this Botan's really smooth. I feel it less underneath the razor than like my Majiro. Which the Majiro I have out for this one is one that gives the most feedback. It's a really fun Majiro to use in the Asano progression. Alright, it looks like I'm hitting from heel to toe. Okay. Next is this old Tenjyou. Now this stone here is a little bit finer than the Majiro or the Botan I just used. It's a little faster too. These, like I said, these older ones are really fast compared to the newer ones, which I find that to be the same story across everything Toishi. The older flavors of stones are all softer and faster than their modern, harder counterparts, and you know, get that mixed up a little bit. In my mind, that is because long ago, before they had diamond plates, and this is true for shaving stones, you know, stones like this, the harder stones were harder to lap. They were harder to raise slurries, and you know, using other stones or tomos to flatten and erase slurries takes a long time. So the softer ones were used, and that's why you had a lot of razor hones that were softer in the past. And then as time, and they set aside the harder versions, you know, in the shops or the warehouses, and big chunks just to be cut up later on down the road. And now we see them a lot because they slowly, you know, get into those old stores and sell them off. But it also, I feel like the topmost layers, being the softer, more aggressive, and really more sought after, were used up first, were treasured more. And so, you know, nowadays when you buy a stone new and you're the first user, like on this stone for me, you know, it's technically been hewn a long time ago, but it wasn't the first selection, so to speak, back then. It was something a little more, you know, not to worry about now, you know, worry about later once all the good stuff's gone. But a lot of guys really like these harder stones. I mean, they are nice to hone on. I enjoy it. I like a harder stone. But I've honed on softer stones too. I mean, they have their place, but I can get the best HHTs, it seems like, on these harder stones. Of course, some of it could be technique too, but actually I'm sure a lot of it's technique. I'm not the world's best razor honer. was enough. Yeah, it's looking pretty good. Okay. So from here, I'm going to move on to the majiro. Like I said, this one here, the texture, it's nice and orange. The texture, this one leaves behind is like a ball bearing feeling. Little mini ball bearings. It's pretty soft too. I mean, honestly, it's just as soft as those older ones, but it's definitely an outlier in all the majiro that I've had. That's why I like it, really. Oh yeah. That's a special majiro. Feels awesome. Technically after this majiro I can go straight to a tomo, but I have a koma. I don't necessarily believe a koma is 100% necessary, but it is in the standard progression of the Asano Meijiro progression of honing razors. So I'll include it. I mean, that's why I have it, so why not? It's starting to get really good suction to the stone. It's hard to pick it up a little bit sometimes. Yeah, that's a good sign. You can see it sometimes, the razor won't lift off the stone and I'll accidentally drag it back a little bit. Okay. I didn't count or anything like that. I counted my strokes as far as like 7 and then 1, but I didn't count total strokes. It felt pretty good. It felt like I was getting all I can get out of that. Had good suction to the stone. Okay. Koma. Big old chunk. This was like a 200 gram, 200 some gram chunk. Big surface area. Okay. Very smooth. Yeah. So these are holding a Kamisori is a little more involved than just a 50-50 straight razor. A lot more steel that you're honing. Or it gets to be that way. It's been a while since I did a full Asano progression on this. It's been a while since I reset the bevel. I hope I did enough good. I hope I did a good enough job at the heel. The heel and toe on this little guy have been a little bit problematic. I'm sure it suffered some warping issues, getting bent in its past life before it came to me. It was already uneven when I got it. It's just gotten worse over time. That Majiro does a really good job. The comb is just kind of just extra. It's just being a little extra. Okay. And now a Tomo. This is a chunk of Nakayama that I was breaking up for finger stones and had chunks that were big enough for Tomo. And it's a really nice, it's a nice Kita. Makes nice finger stones, so I figured it as a Tomo would be awesome too. It's got pear skin, autumn leaves, all the good stuff. stuff you want in a Kita. It just takes for freaking ever to get a decent slurry between these because they're so close to hardness, which it's okay. I would rather a Tomo slurry like these than from a softer Asano. I have a softer Nakayama, actually, now that I think about it. It's not a Kita. It's an Asagi with some Mimazu in it. It's super soft. It'd probably be awesome for this. Yeah, maybe next time I'll take that out. Almost there. This video is 20 minutes long. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to keep all that in there. I have to edit some of this stuff out. Okay, that should be enough. Yep, plenty. Pull some of that up here. Don't lose it off to the side, all that hard work. I got that a little too diluted. It'll dry up a little bit over time. It's just suctioning so well now to the stone, it's kind of hard to push. Usually I try not to push through that because it dulls the edge. Hopefully I didn't just do that. Sometimes I notice that's the difference sometimes between a dull or kind of sharp Kamisori and a really sharp Kamisori. Was in the honing session if you were, because it does suction to the stone more than a regular 50-50. And sometimes when you force through some of that, it dulls the edge. kind of funky still, but sometimes it just might be the nature of that bevel. What does that mean? You know, that top portion of the bevel on this thing has always giving me weird signs. It's really hard to polish evenly across that much steel. So like sometimes part of it will like give a dark sumi and the other will be like the highest spot and it's burnishing on the stone, but really it's just the way I'm applying pressure, I imagine. Of course, just using just water on the stone, it's gonna burnish everything. Should not leave any kasumi. It's starting to look that way. Sometimes well actually a lot of times I'll hit this like a 50-50 there at the end, just kind of wobbling any sort of wire edge that might be. Then of course back strokes like that, same way. Just water on the stone, I'm not really removing steel. Okay, and from here I will strop up the balsa and then test it. All right, the hanging hair test. This is a really thin curly hair. It's not one of mine. Smooth one, did not even make a tink. Just fell through it. That was even easy to see. Just fell through it. Okay, The toe needs a little bit more work, but it's pretty damn sharp. Alright, that's it.